Hey guys, come with me to the Dollar Tree. We're going to do some Christmas DIY in July, and we're going to have so much fun. These are all fresh and new. We're not going to waste any time. Let's jump on in. I'm going to start off with this wooden wall hook, and it says that it can hold up to 12 pounds, which makes it a perfect candidate in my book for a stocking holder. Now, I'm a Southern grandma, and I'm going to pile those stockings full. So if it can hold up to 12 pounds, that's even better. Now, the first thing that we are going to do is to get this little metal piece off the front. If you can't get yours off, it's not a big deal. We can paint right over the top of it, but I wanted mine off. I used my heat gun so that I could heat up that glue to help it pop off, and it came off without any problem. Now, you can just use even a blow dryer and just hold it there for a few minutes, and it will eventually pop off of there. I did sand mine down just a little bit to make it nice and smooth. Now, what I'm going to do is take my DIY paint in the color Beadboard. It's my favorite off-white color. And I'm just going to give this 2 coats on the front and sides. Y'all know how much I love my decoupage, so it shouldn't be any surprise when you find out that that's what we're going to do on the front of these. Look at this gorgeous napkin that I got from my friend Brandy at the DIY Struggle. I'm going to leave her information down below so that you can go and get some if you want them. She sells these in bundles, and this is her Christmas in July bundle. Now, these have the perfect little reindeer on them, and they're kind of looking at each other like they're just so sweetly in love. And so what I do is I just put a little bit of water on the end of a small brush and just kind of go around it. If you guys have been on my channel for any amount of time, you know that I don't do straight edges. I like them to be torn like this because it looks more natural, if you ask me. I put a little bit of my liquid patina on my fingers, and it's going to help me separate those little sneaky layers, like Brandy calls them. Look what a small amount that I use. The end of my brush is really barely wet. I'm just going to go over this surface, and that is a good trick to help you not get wrinkles. You don't need to use a lot of it. It just takes a very small amount. I let my napkin fall kind of where it wants to fall. I don't try to force it. And then I start off from the middle and work my way out. Now, the reason why it's not sticking to my fingers is because I have such a tiny amount of that liquid patina on there. Another trick that I love to use to ensure that I don't have wrinkles is some good old cling wrap. You can ball it up, you can fold it, you can even pull it taut. It doesn't matter, but it's going to help that napkin not stick to your fingers. And when you run your fingers over those wrinkles, it's going to just like iron them right out. Just look how beautiful this turned out. There is not a wrinkle in sight, and it's all because of that glorious cling wrap. The next step I'm going to do is pull out some of my IOD molds. The one with the snowflakes here is called Blitz, and it came out at Christmas time. And then this is a newer one from the summer collection called Dainty Flourishes. And I really like the edges around it because it's going to frame this so pretty. I pulled out my cornstarch, and I just go around with an old junk paintbrush, and I just kind of run that cornstarch in the parts of the mold that I intend to make. And then I just kind of flip it over on the garbage can and just kind of get the excess off. Now, the reason why I use cornstarch in my molds is because it will help that clay come out easily and not stick inside the molds. I wasn't exactly sure which ones of the snowflakes that I wanted to use, so I just did several of those because I figured since we're doing Christmas in July, I may need a couple for a project later on. This is the clay that I've always used in my molds. I'm not sure if you call it DAS or DOS, but it's very easily accessible. I get it off of Amazon, and it's really cheap, and it works good, so I've never really tried another one. All of the IOD molds have this little micro rim. It's like a little lip on each of their molds, which makes it very easy to make your mold. You simply just warm that clay up in your hands for just a moment and just kind of get it pliable and then stick it down in your molds. You run your thumb over that little micro rim and it just makes the perfect mold every time. Now, like I said, I'm not really sure how many of these snowflakes I'm going to use, so I just went hog wild and did the whole thing except for that one great big one because I knew I wasn't going to need it. And then with the dainty flourishes, I only did 2 around the bottom because I want to use those to frame my beautiful little stocking holder with. Now, as soon as you get the clay inside your molds, you can pop it right back out. And you see, since I used that cornstarch, I don't even have to flip my mold over on most of these. It just came right out. But if you ever have any trouble getting your molds out, another little trick that I like to do is pop these in the freezer for about 15 minutes, and it gets the clay just hard enough to where it will pop out so easy. Now, with the dainty flourishes, it has these small little areas all around it, like the little swirls and curves of the dainty flourishes, that I did have to flip my little mold upside down and kind of guide it out with my fingertip. Ain't they just pretty? Now, by this time, I had taken that little hook off of the back. I had unscrewed it from my stocking hanger because it was aggravating the pee out of me. I couldn't, lay this piece down flat and work with it the way that I wanted to, so I just unscrewed it. I'm going to grab my Titebond wood glue. That is the best glue, in my opinion, to put your molds on. It is a wood glue, but it works perfectly for these molds. It really doesn't take much of this glue. I just put a couple of little dots along my dainty flourish here so that we can frame out this beautiful stocking holder. And another good thing about using clay instead of resin in your molds is that you can manipulate that clay to go any way you want it to. In this case, I'm going to make it kind of go in a circular motion around my little stocking hanger like we're framing it out. So I went ahead and put both of my sides on, and then I'm going to add one of those little snowflakes to the very top. I pulled out that off-white color beadboard again, and I'm going to paint my little snowflake. Then I pulled out the DIY color called Carnival Red. I love this red color, and it's perfect for Christmas. And I'm going to go all along the dainty flourishes with a very small paintbrush. And I like that little snowflake I put at the top so much that I decided to stick one down at the bottom too. I just thought that that would make it look cohesive. And then I painted it with the beadboard color also. Now, I don't use a lot of glitter, but at Christmas time, it is the perfect time to glitter it up and make it gorgeous. This glitter, it's called Celine Extra Fine. I get it off of Amazon. It's a diamond glitter. And guys, I just use a little bit of my Loctite spray adhesive, and then I just kind of sprinkle it all over the top. And at Christmas time, I go crazy with this glitter. And look how beautiful these turned out.
I wanna jump around when I think about yesterday. Your smile, your style so fly, my oh my. As time stood still, I got the urge to steal a kiss, and so I did. Now I'm embarrassed, but just a little bit. Oh, there must be gold on those lips and honey on those fingertips.
I wanted to take just a minute to invite you to become a part of our family here on YouTube. Hit that little red subscribe button and you're in our family. Also, there's a bell beside it, and when you click that bell, a drop-down menu will appear, and if you hit the word all, YouTube's going to let you know every single time that I upload a video, and you know I don't want you to miss a single minute of it. Also, if you find value in my content, I would love for you to hit that thumbs up button, that's the like button, because YouTube will push my videos out there to people who have never seen me before. And I thank you guys for every little bit of help and support that you give me. Now let's jump back into the DIYs. This is a door hanger sign that I got from Dollar Tree last Christmas. It's got a little bit of glitter in the middle of it, and I absolutely love those beads that are already on it, so I left those on there, but I did sand off the middle portion just to get some of that wording and that glitter off of there. Now I'm going to take this little hanger off the back because we're just going to reuse that when we're finished. I really like those little hangers that have the two little plastic pieces on them to help them hold on because I think they're good and sturdy. Now I do have to glue this little wood piece back on here because it kept popping off, so I just glued it back on there, took it outside, and I gave it 2 coats of my Rust-Oleum flat matte white color. I'm going to take this beautiful little silkscreen stencil that I got off of Amazon. It's in my Amazon store if you want one. And what I like to do with my stencils is cut them down in the way that I'm going to use them. In other words, you'll see here that I'm just going to have like the little ornaments hanging down from that piece of the beads there. And so I needed to cut off that part that said Merry Christmas because it was just going to be in the way. It just helps me to be able to see where I'm putting my piece down. I used my fingernail to make sure that I got it up as close to those beads as I could. And then I'm going to use this chalk paste that comes from Redesign. I get it off of Amazon. The color is called Iron Gate, and it's kind of like a dark gray color. Almost black. I mean, you could say it's black, a light black, I don't know, velvety black. But anyways, we're just going to use our little tool that I get here that you can put your chalk paste on with, and we're just going to rub it in 2 different directions. I do that because I feel like it just gets that stencil on there a little bit better when you rub it, you know, from side to side and then up and down. You don't get any missed spots, you know. I totally forgot to fuzz this stencil, which just means, you know, you kind of lay it down on a cloth or something to get some of that stickiness off of it. I was so worried that it was going to pull up the paint, so I did it very, very slowly. And to my surprise, it didn't pull up the paint and it came out gorgeous. Then I did the exact same thing down at the bottom. I put the words Merry Christmas, and remember it was over toward the right, but since we cut it off of there, we can center it and put it exactly where we want it to go. So I just centered it here in the middle of my piece and went over it with that color called Iron Gate, and then very carefully peeled it off. I grabbed my DIY paint in the color called Black Velvet, and we are going to make this almost look like enamelware. And the way that I do that is I just take a little thin popsicle stick and I have a very little bit of that black on the edge of it. And it just makes it really easy to go all the way around my piece here. And it almost makes it look like enamelware to me. I don't know, I just wanted it to have that look. You don't have to do that if you don't like it, but I just think that it just kind of gives it something extra, and it just adds a little extra texture all the way around the piece. And I forgot to mention, if you're interested in any of the DIY paint or any of the molds that I showed you earlier, stamps, transfers, anything like that from IOD, you need to go visit my friend Lori over at www.miltonsdaughter.com. That's where I get a lot of my high-end supplies at, is from her. And the first time that you order from her, if you use the code CraftyCathy10, you're going to get 10% off your order. Now here I've just got a very small brush, and I'm going over my beads with that color called Black Velvet. I don't know about you, but every time I hear that, Black Velvet, I think about the song that's about Elvis. I want to say that song came out in the late 80s. I was probably about 10, 12 years old, and I thought that song was just so cool, and it was about Elvis, and I love the beat to it, and it's like you can just see the whole what she's singing in your mind as she's singing it. I absolutely love it. But anyways, I just made sure that I got my beads really nice, and then I grabbed this jute cord that I get from Walmart. It's a little bit thicker. Well, it's actually a lot thicker than the kind that you get from Dollar Tree. And we are going to cut off 4 equal pieces here. And my plan was to just kind of accentuate those beads. I want to put a little bit of glue on the top of the beads. And then I'm just going to flip it over and I'm just going to glue it down to the back. And I'm going to do that underneath the beads too. And we're going to do that top and bottom on both sets of those beautiful black beads. Now I'm going to grab just a couple of those small snowflakes that I made earlier with my molds. And I'm going to put one on each side of the word Merry Christmas. And I'm going to use my Titebond wood glue to do so. And I've got 2 picks that I want to use at the top of this. Now, I don't want this to be a permanent hold. And I definitely don't want to glue these down because I know I'm going to be using these in other projects. So what I did was just took some burlap. I just cut a couple small pieces of burlap off. I'm going to glue that burlap and wound it around the middle part of my picks. And that's the part that I'm going to glue down. That way I don't mess up those beautiful picks because like I said, I just know I'm going to be using those. And I'm just going to use the bows that actually came off of the picks. I just cut them off there and we're just going to use those bows because I like them. I like the way that it looks with this. And I'm going to put both of them right in the middle of those picks. I actually really think it looks good with those bows being brown. And nothing else on this sign is brown except for that jute cord that we used from Walmart. It just kind of brings it all together and breaks up the monotony of the black and white. And if you've been around my channel for any length of time, you know I love to use buttons to accentuate my crafts. And so I just add 3. I like to put them just kind of lapping over each other because I always think that makes a beautiful statement. And then I'm just going to stick the little hanger right back in it and we're just going to reuse that. And for the very last step, we're going to take our spray adhesive, spray it all over the front of this, and sprinkle our extra fine diamond glitter. And I hope you like this one. I think it's very simple and very cute.
Hey, Santa, the city is covered in snow tonight. Where did my love go? Santa, I'm waiting for him, but he's nowhere inside. And all of the presents are still by the tree. They don't mean a thing till he's here with me.
Now we're moving right into DIY number 3. This was one of the more simple ones, but it probably turned out to be my favorite. I've got 2 of these different candy jars. They come from the Dollar Tree, of course. Now, one is the larger size, one is the smaller size. I took all the stickers off of them, and I took them outside, and I spray painted them with about 2 coats of my Rust-Oleum 2 times in matte white. And look how beautiful these are when they're spray painted. Now, I kept the lids on them when I spray painted them. That way, none of the spray paint gets inside of them, and they're safe to put food in. And what we're going to do is decoupage on these. Can you believe it? I put just a little bit of water in my little artist palette here, and I'm going to take a very tiny brush, and all I'm going to do is just go around this beautiful image that I have here. Now, this is an image that I've had for quite a while. I just didn't use it this last Christmas, and I think it's so adorable with this little Christmas mouse sitting in the snow. So I'm going to do just like I did before. I use a little bit of water, and I wet the image, and I go around it and pull it off. We're going to need all 4 of these images because we're going to put one on each side of our little candy jars. Since we're going to be putting these napkins on plastic, I'm just going to use my glue stick, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my fingers just like I did that liquid patina to separate all of those sneaky little layers of my napkin. I'm just going to take my glue stick and I'm going to go around that whole rounded surface here where my napkin is going to be, and I make sure that I get it really good. I'm just going to lay my napkin down and do just as I did before. I start off in the middle and I work my way out. Now it's okay if you have a little bit of an overhang because we're going to take care of that in just a minute. And I'm going to do the same thing as before. I take my cling wrap to ensure that I'm not going to have any wrinkles. Now I'm just going to work all around this image and use that cling wrap and rub it down to get out any wrinkles that may be there. On this one side, my candy dish had cracked, so that's probably going to show through the napkin, but it doesn't bother me at all. So I'm going to do the same thing, lay it down, start off in the middle and work my way out, use my cling wrap and just slowly work out any wrinkles. And so I don't keep repeating myself and showing you the exact same thing, I'm just going to do this on the small candy jar just like I did on the big one. We're just going to use our little finger sander here, and we're very, very lightly going to go around that little edge just to get any of the overhanging bits off of there. And do it very, very softly because you don't want to scratch up all that paint that you just put on there. I'm going to take some of my Christmas buttons that I got last year. I got these at Hobby Lobby, and there was some red and white striped and the green and white striped. And I'm just going to stick these right over the tops of the little pulls. Then you know where I'm going with this. I'm going to grab my spray adhesive and I'm going to spray it down, and I'm going to put just a little bit of my extra fine diamond glitter on both sides. And then I have these little bows that I get off of Amazon. Every Christmas I get these because I love them. They're so easy to pop on my projects. And I'm just going to place the little black and white ones on the sides. And I hope you like this one. Now we're down to our last DIY of the day, and this one as well is a very simple one. Do you guys remember these little bells that came out? Well, they're actually wind chimes, but they look like bells. They came out this summer at the Dollar Tree, and I grabbed 3 of them because when I saw them, this is immediately what I thought. Now, I used my little finger sander to kind of sand over them because the word beach and then that other writing looked like it was a sticker, and I didn't want that to show up when I painted these. So I just sanded them down really good and wiped off all the excess. And on my first one, I just take my DIY golden rule. It's kind of like a wax almost, but I would have really liked to have some rubbing buff, but I didn't have any, unfortunately, so I'm just going to use what I've got. And this was just totally an experiment to see if it would even work. I wanted some of that brown to show through because I wanted them to look like they were old vintage bells. And so I just kind of used that golden rule on my finger and just kind of buffed it in to all the little bells. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the way that looked, but I thought that we could do a little bit better than that. So I took my DIY color called Sandy Blonde. It's just kind of like a khaki color because I thought that I needed to knock down a little bit of that brown color. And I just very sloppily really went all over these, just like kind of just half, I can't say the country slang that we say, half butted, but you say it in a different way. That's what came to my mind to say. I'm so terrible. So yeah, I'm just using my Sandy Blonde and just kind of halfway putting these on here, just real sloppy all over. Now I'm going to try the Golden Rule on top of this Sandy Blonde when it's dry. And I did like this one much better than I did the other one. But like I said, the first one turned out fine. I just thought I could do a little bit better at covering up some of that brown. So I just rubbed in the Golden Rule with my finger and I kind of set it aside and let it dry. I did that to both of these. I got tired of wiping it on with my finger and getting it all up under my fingernails, so I pulled out a little sponge brush and put it on with that. And then when it totally dried, I grabbed my antique wax by Waverly, and I'm just going to use a little brush and just kind of go up and down these, no particular way. I wanted it to look streaky. Now, this antique wax is very watered down, by the way. It's probably 3 parts water to what, it's probably even more than that. Like, it's got like 10% like paint in there and 90% water. I'm not kidding. And I wanted these to have like a streaky look like a bell would have. So I just kind of went up and down. I wanted to keep it in one motion so it would kind of look streaky. And I just kind of wiped it in and let it dry. And I was very satisfied with the way that looked. Now, I've got this ribbon. I know I got it from the thrift store, but I think Celebrate It is Michael's brand of ribbon. So what I'm going to do is take this, and I do it just like a shoestring. I make 2 loops, and I just tie them just like you do a shoestring. And I'm going to pop these just on the top of my little bells. And when I got all my ribbons on my bells, I just styled them in a beautiful wooden bowl with some Christmas greenery. Guys, I thank you so much for coming and watching this video and spending some time to craft with me today and just spend a little time with me. I thank each and every one of y'all. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, and give me a thumbs up because it really helps me out on YouTube. And right now, in the summer season, my videos are every Monday and Thursday at 7:30. And I will see you right back here on the next one, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I thank each and every one of y'all for watching my videos and spending this time with me. If you like this one, I think you're definitely going to like this next one. So hit that button and it'll take you right to it. I love you guys. God bless you and your families.